What's up everybody and welcome to the video. In the last couple of videos we got the modal working. We showed you how to use slots to get content into the modal. In this video let's just clean up the styles, get it so that it doesn't overflow like I'm showing you here. And then I also want to show you how to import some icons to use on the buttons because I think it'll make it look cleaner. So to start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the modal a little bit taller. What I'm thinking is 350. And that should make it a little bit taller. Oop, that's too tall, 3,500. So as you can see, it's a little bit taller. And I want to, in the cart, add some styles. This way we can, if you have a lot of items, it's still going to overflow. We don't actually have enough items in our store. But what I want to do is I want to add some styles to the cart. I want to give it a height of 150 px, overflow hidden. This will make it so you don't see the overflow hanging under the modal if you were to add more items into the cart. Overflow Y is going to be auto. That'll make it so you can scroll inside the modal. And then I also want to add a dot cart WebKit scroll bar display none. And what this is going to do is this is going to make it so that the right hand of, and that's going to hide the scroll bar in the modal, because on some browsers that will take up a lot of space. So if we go over here, you'll see that if we go into the cart, it does scroll. The next thing I want to do is I want to give each of these items a little bit of space in between them. So let's give this a class of cart item. And then let's do dot cart item. Margin 5px 0. So now there's a little bit of space. Let's give it a little bit more. We'll make it yeah, that looks a little bit better. So you have some space. And the reason I left this little gap here, we could actually probably make this a little bit taller, but I would put the checkout button in kind of like the footer. That's the only reason I left the gap on the bottom. So now that we have the cart working, let's get some icons into it rather than having words. I think it'll make it look a little bit cleaner. It'll make the buttons also a little bit smaller. So in the description below, I'll have a link where you can go and download these icons. I'm using some icons from Icon 8, so I'll link that in the bottom. If you're going to use this commercially, it's definitely recommended that you pay for your icons so you don't fall into copyright infringement or anything like that. But since we're just doing a quick free store just as an example, I'll just throw the link in the description below. So once you have those icons downloaded, I just created in the assets folder a directory called icons. I rename them just so it's easier to import them and see what they are. So I named them cart, plus, and trash. So let's start with the delete button, since that's where we are right now. We're not using this title. Let's get rid of that. And in order to use the icon, what I'm going to do is I'm going to import it as trash from, I'm going to import it as trash icon from, and then what you do is it's the same way as you import everything else, dot slash to go up two directories. You're going to go into assets, you're going to go into icons, and you're going to bring in the trash.png. And we'll save that. And then inside of the delete item button, which is over here, what we'll do is we'll bring it in as an image. So img, it's a self-closing tag. Your source is going to be curly braces and then trash icon. And then it's giving you the squigglies because it wants an alt. So let's give it an alt of delete. And if we save that and head over here, so you can see we have the icon. It's a little bit bigger than I want it to be. So let's just add a quick style to bring that down. We'll give it a class of trash icon. And down in our styles, we'll go dot trash icon. And let's give it a height of 20 pixels and a width of 20 pixels. So that looks a lot better, but let's make the button a little bit smaller because it's very big for the icon we're using. So for button, we'll go ahead and give it a padding of 5 pixels, 10 pixels. And if you don't know CSS, this will style the top and the bottom. This will style the left and the right. If you have 1, it does it all around. If you have 2, it splits it into top and bottom and left and right. And then if you have 4, it starts at the top and goes clockwise around the item. So top, right, bottom, left. So if we save that, I think the button looks a lot better, but let's give it a margin on its right-hand side. So margin right, we'll give it 10 pixels. So I think that looks great for just a quick styling to get it working. What I would say is if you do want to go ahead and give it a try, you could try to get all the trash buttons lined up on the left, all the items lined up in the middle, and all the quantities lined up on the left. That's definitely up to you. But for us, let's go into the app and let's update the app. Let's update the cart button to use the cart. I think that'll make it look nice. So we'll import cart icon from, and this import's going to be a little different. It's a // since we're in a folder above the last component we were in, /icons /cart.png. We'll save that. And then inside our button, very similar, we're just going to use the image source equals cart icon. Your alt will be cart, and it's a self-closing tag. Let's just see how that looks. I think that's a good size for the button and the icon. Let's get this. Let's actually put the button inside of a header. Because a lot of times on your store, you'd have a header which has your icon and then the cart all the way on the right-hand side. And let's delete this button out of here. And then we're going to style this header because you'd have the cart. I want to have the cart all the way on the right. So let's give it a display flex width 100%. Justify content flex end. Now this would have to change a little bit if you were going to put an icon on the left-hand side or like a store name or something like that to go home. But for now, we're just having the cart. So let's do that. And then let's give the button a little margin on its left-hand side. So it's not, as you see, it's hugging. So let's give it a margin of 10 pixels, 10 pixels, 0, 0. So this is what I was talking about in the earlier one. It's going to be the top, the right, and then the bottom and the left will have no margin. And that brings it away a little bit. So it does hang out over on the side. I think it looks a lot cleaner with the cart icon in it. And it still works. And it still deletes the items. So that was a quick tutorial on how to use images in Svelte, just a very basic way to do it. There are a lot of ways you can use images. You can use hosting services that do optimize the images for you, so you don't have to mess around with using different size images depending on the device. It's definitely something to look into. As a challenge, what you could do is you could go ahead and get the plus icon working for the add to cart if you wanted to do that. I did give it to you. In the next video, we're going to set up our checkout form. We're going to do a very basic form, but it'll give a tutorial on using forms in Svelte, which is very important because a lot of things that you do when you're creating web apps involve forms. Unfortunately, since we don't have a backend, there won't be anywhere to submit it to. But I really do hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about anything I did, leave me a comment below. Subscribe because there's a lot more content coming, and I'll see you guys in the next one.